there are still some very important votes to be taken by members of Congress, but I want to announce that the leaders of both parties...
Stop. President Obama, the Leninist, has just had the biggest victory in history. He is responsible for the largest debt limit increase in U.S. history. It just passed the House. It raised the limit by $2.4 trillion, the largest increase in the debt limit in U.S. history by a margin of $500 billion. You should mark your calendars as for August 1, 2011, as the darkest day in American history. What Obama and the Democrats and Republicans have done to this country today is worse than what happened to this country at Pearl Harbor. $2.4 trillion is the largest debt limit increase in U.S. history. And are you getting your money's worth? Are you better off today than you were 5 years ago? In fact, my friends, the two largest debt limit increases in U.S. history came in back-to-back years, both during the presidency of the Leninist Barack Hussein Obama. Up until now, the largest increase in the debt limit was the $1.9 trillion increase passed by Congress and signed by Obama on February 12, 2010. And that law increased the debt limit from $12.3 trillion to $14.2 trillion. Now, who did it before him? Well, you're not going to like what I'm about to tell you, but up until now, the second largest historical increase in the debt limit was enacted in 2003 when President George W. Bush, liberal Republican, signed a law that lifted the limit by $984 billion from $6.4 trillion to $7.3 trillion. The third largest historical increase in the debt limit was enacted in November of 1990 when the senior President Bush signed a law that lifted the limit by $915 billion from $3.2 trillion to $4.1 trillion, another liberal Bush. Now, prior to 1987, you may not know this, prior to 1987, the Treasury did not have the legal authority to run a national debt of $2.4 trillion, let alone increase the debt limit by that amount. But on that date, your hero, President Ronald Reagan, signed a law lifting the debt limit by $448 billion from $2.3 trillion to $2.8 trillion. My friends, this is the darkest day in American history. The fact of the matter is, the gang that's applauding now in Congress are not your friend. The gang that's on the floor of the House of Representatives celebrating today, they're celebrating the death of America. They just burned the American flag. They just melted the Statue of Liberty. They just sold America down the river. They ripped the wings off the American eagle. They just put a knife in the heart of the Statue of Liberty. My friends, this is the worst day in American history. They have done more damage to this country for a longer period of time than the Japanese did on December 7th, 1941. And I'm going to tell you something else, and I'm going to say it plain and simple, in plain and simple language. Ever since I entered talk radio, I, Dr. Michael Savage, have been warning you that there's not a heck of a big difference between the two parties. And many of you stopped listening to me during the Bush years because I was warning you as he was running up that debt. I was warning you that he was building up the government bigger than the three previous administrations before him. And I warned you, if you'll remember, the last 3 months of the Bush administration, I said to you he hasn't yet done the damage he's going to do. And boy, was I ever right. Unfortunately, boy, was I ever right. George Bush wrecked the economy in the last 3 months of his administration. And it was with the specific intent of paying those who put him in power in the billions of dollars, and with the specific intent of electing Barack Hussein Obama. Now, you say, well, why would the Republicans want to elect a Democrat? I'll tell you why. Here's my theory, and I wrote about it in my book, Trickle Up Poverty. Here is why. Because the way the game is played in America is this. 8 years Dem, 8 years Repub. 8 years Dem, 8 years Repub. We had 8 years of Bush, and they did not want another 4 years because they knew we'd go into the tank. They wanted the Democrats to take the blame for it. And the Democrats certainly did take the blame for it, didn't they? No, they didn't. They turned it on the Tea Parties. That's what they're trying to do right now. They're telling you, the Tea Party people who represent you, the hardworking middle-class taxpayer, that they're the problem, not the bums in Congress like Bernie Sanders, socialist from Vermont, who wants more taxes against the middle class, like Barney Frank, like Joe Biden, who called the Tea Party's terrorists. How do you feel right now, knowing that the largest debt limit increase in U.S. history was just passed 10 minutes ago? How do you feel right now?